Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fun-filled round of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And my oh my, already starting off on the right foot right over here. Thank you so much, TK, for being the new fish to go and immediately start off this episode. Oh, and by the way, wow, even Juju is also coming in to be another new fish here. But considering that we're already starting that off like that, how is everybody doing, by the way? Oh my goodness, already even more. Wow, everybody decided that they're going to go and start things off by being a new fish. So thank you very much as well, Meta Ralph. Hey, so are you all doing good? How has your week been, by the way? I know I'm doing fine. I know I've been doing well, you know. Still continuously making videos, hard at work for you guys for what is coming up. And also, I just want to say, I do apologize for the inconvenience of what happened during the weekend, especially with my new review of Pokemon the Movie 2000 being blocked, and also, well, with my channel getting a strike. Don't worry, though. I am on it. I am doing what I can in order to make sure that the strike will hopefully go away soon so that you will be able to go and actually see the review on YouTube. But if not, in the meantime, I still do have it on my Patreon. But anyways, though, this is not what we are here to talk about. We're here to talk about what's going on in this episode, and boy, oh boy, do I have some special things planned for you all today. A lot of interesting discussions will be had, a lot of major animation news going on, and especially the fact that we are going to be witnessing animation history in the making. The kind that it is so big and such a big game changer that honestly, the most shocking thing about it is that it happened much sooner than anyone could ever expect. But with all that said and done, I know that all of you are excited to see what will be in store here, so I might as well go and first ask the chat wall, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you ready? All right, let's see now. Are people prepared? Yes, I see people are ready. People are set. All right, that is beautiful. And so, with that said, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story that I have for you today, well, actually, for the first couple of stories, we're going to be watching some trailers. Yes, we do have even more trailers to watch yet again. But this time around, it will be a lot shorter than usual. But with this one, however, I know that with you animation fans, you are all excited to see this movie, especially when it's already been getting a lot of raving reviews, a lot of hype is going on behind it. People already, like some people out there already know that this movie is fantastic, and animation fans cannot wait to go and have their chance to go and watch it on the big screen. Now, there are some in parts of the world who already have, but soon it will be North America's turn. Although, funny enough, it was supposed to be for this week, but then again, suddenly we did get the announcement that, oh, well, it's going to be delayed in 2 weeks, so we still have to wait a little bit longer. But still, though, in the meantime, why don't we have more of a little taste of it, as we are now going to go and check out the trailer for the upcoming animated feature, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie.
UFO!
Boy, that almost blew up in our...
And that is The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, to which the film is going to be coming out in theaters, or at least in North American theaters, on March 14th. So I've already talked about this before, including the previous trailer, and like I've mentioned, everybody, at least in terms of animation fans, are all hyped up to go and check this out. And I think that is kind of the main point about this trailer in particular, especially to go and highlight many of the comments that have already been made in relation to the Looney Tunes movie. So, like, we've already gotten a bunch of comments. Everybody's saying that it's so funny, it's comedic gold, and all that kind of stuff. So they've already highlighted so many things in relation to what we are about to witness with the day the Earth blew up. And even in here, I gotta say that this is kind of an interesting trailer because they actually highlight that there are going to be a lot more characters that we will get familiar with or who play a significant role in the feature. Like, one that we do see a little bit is technically the main villain of the feature, which is the alien. And especially with this kind of movie where aliens are coming in to invade Earth and try to either destroy it entirely or take it for themselves and stuff like that. Of course, we got to know, like, who they are. We got to be familiar with who the enemy is going to be. And there's even a little moment where we actually hear them talk, and that is right when, like, the asteroid just hit right over here. So let's have a quick listen.
For the next phase of my plan, nothing can stop me now.
Now, I will say that in this case over here, maybe I could be wrong, and I know some of you watching or listening to this, you may have already seen The Day the Earth Blew Up, but just from the voice, it actually sounds like it's going to be Eric Bauza again, who's going to be doing the voice of the main alien or the main villain. Or that, or like just from the tone of it, it sounds like Daffy Duck. Like you can tell that it is Eric Bauza doing one of his Looney Tune voices, but again, maybe I'm wrong. In fact, if you have already seen The Day the Earth Blew Up, you could go and write down in the comments or in the chat wall if that is actually the case. So, and I mean, like with Eric Bauza and many of these types of voice actors, like they could easily do like numerous of characters, no problem. But from here, it really does sound like the closest that we have so far in terms of hearing what the villain sounds like. But also, there is another one. Yeah, and some people have even mentioned that, yes, I know that Eric Bauza is already there, and he is doing the voice of Daffy Duck and Porky Pig as well. And that's one thing that's always been surprising about The Day the Earth Blew Up, is that now Bauza is going to have his turn to go and be Porky Pig, instead of Bob Bergen, who has been doing the character for literally decades. So I'm kind of surprised that they are doing that switch. And at the same time, there is also another character that we are introduced to, and that is this Buck Rogers-like scientist guy, that he's going to be a part of the team where they got to go and have a chat about, they got to go and save the world and stuff like that. Honestly, I am a little bit surprised because a part of me is kind of curious as to, because I was thinking, okay, maybe with the new addition of Petunia Pig, because she already has the lab coat, that she would play the role of the one who would have to go and be the mentor in a way to Daffy and Porky to tell them, we got to go and save the world and stuff like that. So I thought she would go and take on that position, but now we got this, but no, it's going to be this guy who's going to be coming in. We're going to have a lot more characters here, a lot more new characters, in fact, other than Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. Because that is one thing that I've always been curious about. I've always wondered, okay, is this movie just going to be focusing on Daffy Duck and Porky Pig? Are we going to be actually getting other characters that will be featured here? Or are they just going to, all of them will have small roles, except for those three over here? So I don't know. Maybe we will. Oh, wow. Somebody even posted. I see apparently someone has actually posted the list of actors who are going to be in this. So we already. So yeah, like, okay, maybe I could be wrong, but apparently it says here Eric Bauza is Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. We also got Candy Milo as Petunia Pig. And we got Peter McNichol as the invader. Which is, okay, so maybe it's Peter McNichol that we've heard the voice or is going to be the voice of the alien. I don't know if it's the same one in the trailer. Again, I don't know the context. I haven't seen it yet. I do want to, though. It also says Fred Tetasciore as Farmer Jim, Lorraine Newman as Mrs. Gretch, and Wayne Knight as the mayor. Okay, that is interesting. But there is also another element that I do want to point out. Something that honestly does stand out. And I mean, this might be spoilers. Now, it could be, but then again, this is shown in the trailer here. So there's one particular scene that has me interested, and it just went by so quickly. I just want to double check. Yeah, okay. So it's right over here. And if we just move forward a little bit, it's right over here. So, okay, this might be a shot where we might see the climax of it. But as you can see, so we got Daffy Duck and Porky Pig that they're being they're going to be going up the spaceship. Oh, test score. Oh, Fred test score. Okay. I got you. It's Fred. Okay. Fred test score as Farmer Jim. Okay, I gotcha. All right. Sorry I mispronounced or like butchered that name, but okay, now I understand what it is. Thank you for the correction, people. And I also see in the chat wall, like everybody is just hyped up with Wayne Knight coming back into another Looney Tunes movie. The first time that he has fully returned into a Looney Tunes movie since the first Space Jam, funny enough. Okay, but anyways, going back over here, what is interesting is to see that, like, yeah, we got Daffy Duck and Porky Pig that is being transported, but then we got Petunia Pig, whom is just suddenly got encapsulated by one of the aliens, just completely taken over. Now, honestly, it has me curious, like, when I saw that shot, it has me wondering, though, is there going to be this plot twist that maybe Petunia Pig might be one of the aliens, that she's not actually a pig from Earth and she actually is just part of the aliens? Like, are we seeing like her true form, or is it just being possessed by the monstrous aliens? Just being possessed by this big thing right over here. It could be either or, but honestly, I would not be surprised, considering that we are talking about a Looney Tunes movie that wants to be this sci-fi thriller, and there are, and there on those like B-movie type sci-fi thrillers, they would often include like this plot twist where one of the human characters, it turns out they're actually one of the aliens. So it would not surprise me if there could be that kind of plot twist right over there. And what we just saw from that little moment in the trailer could be a bit of a hint. But either way, we are going to see Petunia Pig suddenly be a part of the villains right there. But with that said, though, I will say from what we have seen in this trailer, yeah, it is short. It is very quick. I mean, it's literally just a minute long, but I will say it definitely does the job to go and highlight what to go and expect, especially the beautiful 2D animation that is displayed over here. Like, this isn't even the same kind of 2D animation that we have seen in the Looney Tunes cartoons. And I mean, like, the recent batch. Like, with this one, like, it is fluid. It is beautiful what they have done. This is phenomenal work with what they have presented here. So that is definitely one thing that I am hyped up to go and see. And also in terms of the comedy that we have witnessed, like, yeah, so far, like, the credits and like what critics are saying, like, they're pretty much labeling how this is all gonna be like funny as heck. So in that regards, and especially like this part right over here.
Situation.
Like, I will say that is actually that one was actually pretty funny. I will give it credit. Like, yeah, it's not like, I wouldn't say like downright hilarious. I'm sure there's probably some really funny jokes or funnier stuff in there, but that one I will say is definitely effective. So I will say it's a short and sweet trailer, but it definitely does the job to go and get me a little bit more excited for what's to come with The Day the Earth Blew Up. And if you are hyped to go and check out what is in store with this movie, then keep in mind that The Day the Earth Blew Up will be coming to North American theaters on March 14th. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you all think about the trailer that we have seen with The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie? Now, chances are you're probably already excited to see what is in store here, but I would like to ask, did this add on to your anticipation for this? Or do you disagree with me and you're not excited for it? Whatever opinion you may have, let me know what you all think. All right, so let's see what we got here now. The trailer for The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, brilliantly mixes sci-fi thrills with classic Looney Tunes humor. Picture epic space battles alongside Daffy Duck trying to outsmart aliens with his usual flair for disaster. Honestly, that sounds like Duck Dodgers right there, and that's a different brand of sci-fi than what we are going to get over here. The suspense is high, yet the laughs keep on coming. If Mel Blanc was here, he'd love how they blend heart-pounding moments with zany chaos, proving that no matter the genre, laughter is always the best weapon. It's gonna be a wild ride. Oh, exactly. Let's see what we have here. If what the reviews are telling me, then man, this is gonna live up to the hype. Not only is the animation lively and colorful, but the jokes are pretty decent, particularly with Daffy, and the gum monster looks pretty cool. I'm gonna see if I could watch this one. Assuming my theater gets it. I have no idea what to expect from Ketchup Entertainment. Seriously, with a name like that, it's gotta have a soundtrack produced by Mustang. That's a joke for you Kendrick fans out there. I got you there. I understood that reference. Saying that in the whitest way possible. Yeah, but honestly, you do actually bring up a very good point. And that is one thing that is a little bit concerning, is to go and check out if your theater will actually have The Day the Earth Blew Up. You got to keep in mind that, considering that this isn't going to be from Warner Brothers, this is actually going to be from a smaller name distributor. And I mean, this isn't bashing Ketchup Entertainment in any way. I mean, I applaud them for actually giving us The Day the Earth Blew Up. They did fantastic on that. But it is true that they're not going to go and distribute it very widely in theaters. It's not going to be like we're going to be seeing this in over 4,000 theaters and stuff like that. It will have a little bit of a limited release, so it's hard to tell which ones are actually going to have it. So if anything, I highly recommend that you go and actually check your listings for movie theaters and stuff like that. Whichever movie theater near you, make sure you go and actually inspect which ones may possibly have The Day the Earth Blew Up. Go and check out whatever apps or whatever websites that might be available. But I do highly recommend it. If you want to go and check it out, then you first have to go and see which theater may have it first of all, because there is a chance that maybe the one theater that could actually have it may be pretty far from you. So you got to go and anticipate maybe the worst case scenario, maybe the best case scenario, but either way, it is something that you have to go and prepare yourself for whatever situation, and that maybe you might have to go and make a long commute if you have to go and, or if you want to go and actually check the movie out. So thought I would go and mention that right there. Let's see. I really like the idea of this movie. This is the first 2D animated film in a decade, and I couldn't be happier about it. Daffy Duck gets the starring role he deserves, and I will love Wayne Knight's performance. Also, this release on also it is releasing on the day that crab fries. Yeah, I gotcha right there. I gotcha. But you know what? Actually, I do disagree with you. This isn't like it hasn't been that long since we've actually had a 2D animated movie in theaters. I would say this is the first time in under 2 years, I believe, because you got to keep in mind the last one that we have actually received one was actually the Bob's Burgers movie, and that film is honestly fantastic. I don't watch Bob's Burgers. I know I should because like I've heard amazing things about the show, but the movie in particular, I adore it. I think it is honestly so underrated, and watching that on the big screen was an absolute blast. So just thought I would go and make that clarification. So yeah, it will technically be the first 2D animated film that we are going to get in under 2 years. So it isn't that long, but hey, it's been a hot minute. You know what I mean? All right, let's see what other comments are there. This trailer is really impressive, and considering the absolute praise it's been getting, this definitely has me excited. The animation is absolutely gorgeous, the humor is top-notch, and I'm just glad the Looney Tunes is in a positive light again. So overall, this is exciting. Although, in terms of the Looney Tunes movies, I'm still pissed we may never get Coyote versus Acme. Oh yeah, tell me about it. I mean, that's another subject altogether, but yeah, I get the frustration. All right, I think I'm going to read one more comment, and then we're going to go and move on to our first break. I have mentioned this before here that I've seen this great comedy gold right here, and yes, it's true about the critical reception. It's that funny and well animated. Eric Bauza was absolutely spot on in this as Daffy and Porky. He's our modern day Mel Blanc. You kids are going to love it. Please don't sleep on this, you guys. Seriously. All right, that's good advice right there. So, if you are interested in checking out The Day the Earth Blew Up, and if you are definitely excited for it, then in that case, then all you have to do is wait until it comes out on March 14th. And again, I highly advise you go and check out which movie theater will have it so that you could go and experience it for yourself. All right, so now with that said, it is now time. We're going to go on to our first break. And when we do come back, we're going to go into another trailer, but this time around, it's not necessarily going to be about what we are going to watch, but it's something in which I feel like we're going back into some familiar territory, and it might summon a great curse that has plagued certain celebrities. What am I talking about? Well, you'll find out when we come back. Welcome back. Now, when it comes to our next story, we're looking into another trailer. And honestly, I am scared of the implications of having this kind of show actually exist. Not necessarily because of the series itself, but because, well, when you look at the title, when I would see that, usually bad things happen. It's kind of like an omen, or it's kind of like a curse. And I remember a few years back, I talked about this specifically and how it could mean dark things about the starring actor in that particular series. And it turned out to actually come true, which a lot of people even went on social media and they said that I actually predicted the future, that I was right about that. And like people were freaking out about that. However, it looks like there might be a chance, and I'm hoping I am wrong. I will keep on saying that throughout this segment, but we'll see what is in store. So with that said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for the upcoming BET Plus series, Lil Kev.
You head ringworm, dumbass motherfucker! Get Mrs. Old Lady's bag.
There should be a word for this kind of free labor.
And that is Lil Kev, to which the series is going to be coming out on BET Plus on March 6th. So, to give you a little bit of context of what's going on here, Lil Kev is a series that shows the childhood of Kevin Hart. Now, chances are you probably already know Kevin Hart, a big name movie star who has appeared in many prominent projects. You probably know him as the voice of Snowball in The Secret Life of Pets. You've probably seen him in many different projects or movies such as, excuse me. You've probably also seen him in stuff like the Jumanji movies, or at least the recent Jumanji movies. And trust me, Kevin Hart is one of those people that if you hear his voice or you see who he is, then you definitely know who Kevin Hart is. And there's a very good chance you've already seen a movie starring Kevin Hart. But this time around, now he's going to come out with a new show called Lil Kev, which shows his childhood in the early 1990s, raised in the projects in North Philadelphia. And honestly, when I watch this, maybe I'm not the target demographic here, considering, well, I think it's plain and simple when you do see me, or even when you hear my voice, that I am a white guy, that technically it's not a show for me specifically. I'm not considered to be the prime target audience, but at least in my opinion, honestly, I look at this and, yeah, it's a very show. Honestly, there's nothing about it that I feel impressed by what I have seen. Like, the animation, it's not really that great. And even just the concept in itself of Kevin Hart trying to make an animated series where he presents his childhood and he's kind of seen as the runt of the litter, you know? He's just the little guy that everybody likes to go and try to pick on, but he wants to go and prove that he is something more. You know, I honestly look at this and it's hard not to think that Kevin Hart just wants to try to be like Chris Rock, because Chris Rock has found some great success with Everybody Hates Chris, which has a very similar concept where it's Chris Rock showing his rough child, his comedically rough childhood, and from there, the series was very popular. And I think just recently, they revealed that, or I think it was recently released, that it got rebooted into an animated series. So now Kevin Hart wants to have a piece of that pie and wants to have his own version of Everybody Hates Chris with Lil Kev. And I mean, you do see the patterns, especially with the way that everybody would just go and make fun of Kevin Hart, like right over here.
Hey, that's my little brother Kevin you laughing at. I didn't tell you to stop. Just wanted to let you know what his name is.
So yeah, like you got everybody making fun of him, like, he's always the butt of the joke and stuff like that. But I guess with like each of the episodes, he'll find a way to just go and pull through and get out of his tough situations that he would get himself in, along with being surrounded by his family, who can also be rough on him in different ways, whether it be his brother, his mom, or even his his comically exaggerated tough uncle that wants to go and like toughen the boy up and stuff like that. So honestly, there's just a lot of it that it just doesn't seem to intrigue me. And I feel like at best, this is for people who are like big fans of Kevin Hart. If you love Kevin Hart, if you love his comedy, if you love the movies that he's in, if you love his acting and stuff like that, then really, I guess it's for you. But I don't know if I'll be getting much out of this as a show. But that's not necessarily the thing that I really want to go and actually talk about with Lil Kev. It's not necessarily about the series, about what I think it's going to be, or if it has any potential, or anything like that. The thing that really did catch my attention is the title. Lil Kev. And that honestly struck a bit of fear when I saw that title. Oh yes, I know it might sound a little simple. I know it seems like, it seems pretty innocent. It's just Lil Kevin. It's a show about little Kevin Hart, right? But oh no, I've talked about this before and I've seen this happen. Because the thing is, with Kevin Hart and with Lil Kev, is that usually when there is an animated show that comes out and it stars a celebrity and it features their life in their childhood and it has little in the title, or if it's like little, like LIL or anything like that, then usually that comes with a great curse. A curse in which it would go and actually go and initiate a dark omen that later on in the future, the next celebrity that is going to be greatly canceled shall be them. Because maybe it doesn't happen with all the celebrities, but I've seen it happen more often than not. Because usually, when there is a big name celebrity that they would decide to go and have their own animated show that would star a childhood version of themselves, and in the title, it would just be their first name and little beforehand, then usually sooner or later, they would end up becoming the subject of massive controversy, of great drama, if you will. And I've seen this happen again and again. Because one prominent example that I can think of is a show called Little Rosie, a show that features a little version of Roseanne Barr. And back in the 1990s, Roseanne Barr was a big name television star, especially with the series Roseanne. So there was another show that wanted to go and capitalize on her success with Little Rosie. But then fast forwarding to nowadays, well, Roseanne is not necessarily an appealing title and not an appealing person to be on television, especially when there was that moment where she went on a racist rampage that took down the rebooted version of her show. And keep in mind, that reboot of Roseanne was stupidly popular. It was one of the biggest shows on television when it was fresh out of the oven. But then suddenly, she went into her racist mode, and the show decided to just continue on without her and kind of rebrand itself into The Connors, which I think it is still going strong, or I think it recently just finished. But either way, though, Roseanne pretty much ruined herself with that racist rampage, and it was quite a coincidence that she also had a show, or an animated show called Little Rosie. But then there is another example, and probably the most prominent one of them all, Little Bill. You probably remember at one point in Nick Jr. that there was a series called Little Bill, which featured a very young version, or at least a little boy version, of Bill Cosby. And I think there is a very good chance that if you're watching or listening to this, you know what happened to Bill Cosby, that he turned out to be one of Hollywood's biggest monsters, a black Harvey Weinstein, if you will. And from there, his reputation has been completely tarnished. And again, quite a coincidence that he ended up with his own show that is called Little Bill. But then there is the most recent example of this, the most prominent example that I did talk about in the past, which is Ellen DeGeneres. Now, maybe some of you may recall that when HBO Max was in its infancy, when it all began, one of the first HBO Max exclusive shows that they had was an animated series called Little Ellen. And in Little Ellen, or I think it is called Little Ellen or something like that, or like the point is that like at least somewhere in the title, it was called Little Ellen. And in Little Ellen, it's the same concept. It showed Ellen DeGeneres as a little girl back in her origins, back during her childhood. So from there, it was just trying to go and capitalize on the massive success of Ellen DeGeneres. Back when people loved Ellen and thought that she was like a massive sweetheart, that people loved her as the voice of Dory, and that she had one of the biggest talk shows on television at the time. But then, not long afterwards, there was the massive backlash related to Ellen DeGeneres, that it turns out that her public image as a sweetheart was a flat-out lie, that she was a monster in her own right. Not a monster like Bill Cosby, but a different kind of monster where she's a lot more like a very aggressive Karen. And from there, her reputation just went like crashing down, even to the point of destroying her own TV show. Like, it was legit that bad. So my point with all this is that I have seen from time and time again that whenever you see a celebrity that they decided to have an animated series based on their own personal childhood, and they would call it Little Rosie, Little Bill, or Little Ellen, they usually end up a little bit later down the line in their life with massive controversy. And that's the thing that worries me about Lil Kev, is that eventually we're going to have this show come up, and then somewhere down the line, Kevin Hart is going to be the next big celebrity to get canceled. That somehow there's going to be something that will be revealed about Kevin Hart that is just so shocking that it will be the main thing that the whole internet is going to be talking about, and that his reputation is just going to be flat out dead. It's going to be gone. Like, he will no longer be considered the big movie star or the big name comedian that many people know and love. Now, I don't know what it would be specifically, but I feel like it would be something along those lines, that it would be revealed that Kevin Hart has a history of doing something that is so terrible and so shocking that people would rather to just let him go and just, move on and have a Hollywood life without Kevin Hart. Now, keep in mind, though, this is just speculation on my part, and I could be wrong, and I do hope that I'm wrong. I'm not saying this because I'm a Kevin Hart hater or anything like that, I have seen some movies with Kevin Hart, and I mean, he can be enjoyable from time to time, and he has proven that he can also be a very good actor as well. And I am hoping that his reputation is still good, that his reputation can still be strong from here on out. But then again, I don't know if the curse is still real, if the curse is true, then I feel like with Lil Kev, it's going to go and initiate something dark, and that the next time that we will really hear about Kevin Hart, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. And I know that Kevin Hart has been the subject of controversy from time to time. I even heard that Kevin Hart does have a bit of a history with infidelity as well. And I mean, I think that might have been the worst that Kevin Hart has been in terms of like public backlash and stuff like that. But there's nothing that he has done that has really been on the levels of like Bill Cosby or Ellen DeGeneres, at least not yet. So this is why I wanted to go and bring this up. It's just the possibility that in the future, we can hear some really messed up crap about Kevin Hart. And all this is because we have seen the first signs of it with the fact that he has a series called Lil Kev. And again, I want to clarify, I am totally wrong on this. And I do hope that I am wrong. But then again, there is that likelihood that, I end up becoming right with what I've said about Ellen DeGeneres, and the same thing might even happen with Lil Kev. But in the meantime, before we go and actually do see if that would be true or not, or hopefully it might not be true, but for any of you who are interested in checking out Lil Kev, then keep in mind that it will be coming out on BET Plus on March 6th. All right, so with that said and done now, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what did you think about the trailer of Lil Kev? And I know that a lot of my discussions went outside of the trailer itself, but I would still like to know, what do you think about this? And also, if you are a fan of Kevin Hart, then I would love to know your opinion on this matter. And if you think that in the future, we could be hearing controversy about Kevin Hart so bad that he might end up being canceled. I would like to know what you think on this. All right, so let's see now. One small correction, Matt. Fat Albert was more based on Cosby's childhood and upbringing. Okay, oh, all right. You do have a point. You know, that is true. Like, Fat Albert is more like that, but that still doesn't change that Bill Cosby did create an animated series called Little Bill. And even though Little Bill is not necessarily about Bill Cosby's childhood, he still made a series that is called Little Bill. It's kind of like weirdly enough, it's like Bill Cosby separated those two entities, where you got Kevin Hart and Ellen DeGeneres, where they decided to combine those two factors. And I mean, I guess maybe Roseanne Barr did the same thing too. But with Bill Cosby, he decided to separate those two entities, where you got one animated series called Little Bill and another animated series that is based on his personal childhood and upbringing and stuff like that. So, yeah, I do understand. Thank you for the correction. But still, though, it is worth mentioning. All right. Let's see now. I am white. I know, I'm mad at myself too. And because I am white, I'm not sure if I should give my opinion on this. Either way, I'm sure somebody who isn't white will like it. I just hope it doesn't go in the way of Little Bill, Little Rosie, and Little Ellen, and it becomes unwatchable if we discover that Kevin Hart is a vile human being. My biggest question is why BET Plus even had a thing when Paramount Plus already exists. I don't know, like there's a lot, you know, there is a whole bunch of those like smaller streaming services that they want to get into the competition as well. So honestly, I'm not really that surprised that BET would even have a streaming service called BET Plus. But with that said though, yeah, you might be right. And I mean, again, I do acknowledge that maybe when it comes to Lil Kev, it's not for someone like me. This is for people who love Kevin Hart. It's for that audience right there. And I'm sure that there will be some people who will like this. It's just, well, you know, I'm not necessarily a big Kevin Hart fan, so it's not necessarily for me. So yeah, like, best case scenario, I'm sure there's someone out there who would love Lil Kev. Anyways, let's see what we got here. Okay, even as a big fan of Kevin Hart, it should say a lot when I looked up Lil Kev on Google, a Fortnite back bling came up. But still though, this does look fine. I like the art style, but the jokes aren't really grabbing me. The characters seem a little bland, and nothing against Kevin Hart, but with this kind of show, bad things happen, you know? Or maybe I'm saying all this because I still don't forgive him for appearing in Borderlands. Yeah, you know, that could be the best case scenario. But then again, like, you know, considering that Borderlands already appeared first, if it were like the reverse, like Lil Kev was first released and then Borderlands, at least Kevin Hart would have like his moment of disaster already out of the way. Because yeah, with Borderlands, I haven't seen the film, but oh my God, I've heard a lot of disastrous things about it. So I ain't gonna touch that crap with a 10-foot pole. I'm just gonna take the word of mouth's word for it and yeah, stay away from it. But let's just hope for Kevin Hart's sake, that's the worst thing to ever happen to his life. All right, let's see what else we have here. First Little Bill, which represents Bill Cosby, then Little Rosie, which represents Roseanne Barr, then Lil Ellen, which represents Ellen DeGeneres, and now this. I guess this series could be good, but now this sounds like a horrifying omen for Kevin Hart. Also, I'm sad. Also, the sad thing is that Little Bill is not just based around himself, but also based around his deceased son, Ennis Cosby. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is like some meaningful things in relation to Little Bill. And I remember before, like all the things that's been revealed about Bill Cosby, I remember there was a time when Little Bill was actually a very beloved show, almost as much as Blue's Clues. But nowadays, though, it's like, yeah, I don't really want to get into that. I don't really want to know about like what, like the whole thing or the history of it. It's like, I don't know if I'm ready to have feelings in relation to Bill Cosby, because yeah, that is like touching. That is very sad. But then again, it's also Bill Cosby. So, ugh. All right, I think I'll read one more comment and then we're going to move on to the next story. All right, so Lil Kev feels like a mashup of Everybody Hates Chris and the Boondocks, blending humor and social commentary. However, as a black man, the trailer left me feeling uneasy. While I appreciate the comedic elements, some jokes seem too close to stereotypes that can be uncomfortable. I hope the series strikes a balance between laughter and respect, honoring our experiences without leaning too heavily into cliches. It's a tightrope walk. By the way, AniMat, you earned your black card in my book. Oh, thank you very much. How do I redeem this black card? Or how do, what do I do with the legendary black card? No, but anyway, no, I'm just fooling around. I'm just kidding. No, hey, I greatly appreciate the compliment. But honestly, that's one thing that honestly, a part of me does feel like, I will admit, even as a white guy, there's a part of me that feels like it's a little bit unease from watching Lil Kev. And there is that vibe that, like, it didn't go fully there, but there's a part of it that felt like it's leaning a bit close to Netflix's Good Times. You probably remember that from like not too long ago with Good Vibes, and that was nothing but just this shamelessly stereotypical series. And with Lil Kev, it didn't reach to that point, but it was like getting there. You know what I mean? It was like, it has those traces of Netflix's Good Times, but like it's not at that point where it's just like stereotypically awful. But maybe it could turn out good. Maybe the fate of Kevin Hart is not doomed, but I guess we'll wait and see when Lil Kev is going to be coming out on BET Plus on March 6th. And now we're going to go and have another break. But when we do come back, we're going to go and talk about the main story of this episode. Oh yes, history is being made before our very eyes. And it's time we're going to go and check out the new highest grossing animated feature of all time. All right, welcome back. Now, our next story, we're going to go and talk a little bit about Inside Out 2. Now, you may recall last summer when Inside Out 2 was released in theaters, it was the biggest movie phenomenon of 2024. And it was the first time that it helped Disney to really go and rebound at the box office with their animated offerings. And not only was Inside Out 2 a massive success and went on to become the biggest movie of 2024, but it also managed to break a lot of box office records, and it was able to go and beat the big one to become the highest grossing animated film in history, in which it was able to go and take down Inside Out 2, no, not Inside Out 2, because I'm talking about Inside Out 2. It managed to take down both Frozen 2 and the 2019 Lion King remake. And at that moment, it was a moment that animation fans completely rejoice. Rather it be because, well, Inside Out 2 was a great movie, and seeing a film like that in which everybody was still hyped up for and still had a lot of fun with it, seeing it become so successful, it was a joyous occasion. Or there are people who just absolutely hate the Lion King remake and just want to see that be dethroned so that we have a new legitimate animated feature to become the highest grossing animated film of all time. And also, I remember it wasn't even 2 months ago that I actually placed that moment as the #1 animation news of 2024. And I remember talking about how the future feels uncertain if we're going to see that happen again. If ever we would go and see another movie that would go and accomplish what Inside Out 2 did, and able to go and become the highest grossing animated feature in history, let alone if we would ever see one that could ever make over $2 billion at the box office. There was a once upon a time, and it wasn't even that long ago, that it was considered virtually impossible. Oh, excuse me, folks. But as I was saying, it was considered virtually impossible to think that an animated feature could ever do that. Well, it was proven that I guess I was wrong, because this actually occurred much sooner than I could ever expect. And I think it is safe to say that no one would ever think that it would be a Chinese animated movie that it would be able to do so. And you know what? Actually, let me just go and get this back. If we are going to go and introduce this, I want to do it the proper way. And so, the new highest grossing animated feature of all time is Niza 2. Yes, folks, let's go and discuss about the new highest grossing animated feature in history, which is Niza 2. To which on February 18th, which was which was last Tuesday, as I am recording this, that it was able to go and beat out Inside Out 2 at the box office, where it managed to go and earn $1.69 billion at the box office. And just to go and give you a bit of a summary of what occurred, to go and read you from my source here on Reuters, which was one of the first to go and actually mention this, but it states that Niza 2 has amassed a total box office of 12.3 billion yuan, which is $1.69 billion in American money, including pre-sales and overseas earnings, making it the 8th highest box office film globally. Over 99% of Niza 2's box office income has come from mainland China, starkly in contrast to Hollywood films, which typically rely on a more global distribution strategy. So yeah, just through at least almost China alone, it was able to go and make a ridiculous amount of money at the box office. In fact, if we go and take a look at Box Office Mojo, as you can see here, the numbers don't really seem that impressive. This is pretty much the earnings that it has made in North America and a few other places around the world. So it says here that the domestic earnings of Niza 2, at least in North America, it has so far made $15 million domestically, along with $13.5 million internationally. That is in a few places like in Europe, in Oceania, and several others as well, in which the worldwide total says it is $28.4 million. Now, keep in mind, this is the money that Niza 2 have made without counting China. Because if we do include the amount that China has given to Niza 2, then it became astronomical. And again, I just want to remind you all that it was on last Tuesday that it managed to beat out Inside Out 2's record. That was the day when it managed to go and step up from the amount that Inside Out 2 has done throughout its entire theatrical run. So if we go onto Wikipedia over here, and I just want to go and do a bit of a refresh just to be sure. Now, this is the page that goes and chronicles the highest grossing animated films in history. And as you can see here, Niza 2 right now, it is right on top at number 1, beating out Inside Out 2, The Lion King 2019 remake, and Frozen 2, and all that kind of stuff. Where now, as I am recording this, it has made a total of $1.89 billion. It has made nearly $1.9 billion at the box office, in which the grand majority of it, almost all of it, is just from China alone. Now, by the way, before I go and continue, I would like to go and give you a little bit of information about Niza 2, because some of you might be wondering, what is Niza 2 in the first place? Like, what is that film? Well, it is actually a sequel to the first movie, Niza, which was released back in 2019. And I just want to go and give you a little bit of an idea here, like just to go and check out, like this is the Wikipedia page of Niza 2, and it even states here that with the first Niza, or at least with the Niza franchise, that this is actually based, or at least, well, actually, let me go and read you. Let me go and read you over here what it says. Although there are a lot of changes to the original stories, the character prototype of the universe are loosely based on Chinese mythology stories and the 16th century Chinese novel Investiture of the Gods, or Fengshen Yanyi. I think that's how you pronounce it in Chinese. But yes. Oh, and I see apparently the first one is actually free on YouTube. Oh, okay. Well, that actually does check out then. So yeah, so this, so in a way, it's very similar to movies that are based on Journey to the West. You know, the movies that are based on The Monkey King or Su Wukong. With those types of films, well, Niza is a little bit like that as well, where you got this, where you got this mischievous character who's fighting against Chinese gods. And in this case here with Niza, he wants to go and try to protect this village from the wrath of whatever enemies that he may go and face. Now, when it comes to the first Niza movie, that was actually very popular. In fact, just to go back onto the list over here, the highest grossing animated features, the first Niza is actually not that far off. You'll see that it's actually right over here in 31st place, where it actually made a total of $726 million at the box office. And I mean, yeah, it's no Niza 2 numbers, but still, for an animated film whose main target demographic is the people in mainland China, that is still massively impressive. But seeing what Niza 2 has made, like just shooting itself all the way up to number 1, that is just crazy. And I think that's really the most mind-blowing part about all this. It's the fact that the way that it is able to do so, the way that it managed to go and break so many records at the box office, it's pretty much crazy to see how it is able to do so in the way that it is not like any other Hollywood movie, or how we know movie distributions work. Because this is beyond how, like, this goes way beyond what we are familiar with the way that movies would get distributed to the big screen, especially like being distributed either in theaters, be distributed worldwide, and all that kind of stuff. Because with all the other movies, they would have to go and try to think of many different tactics in order to go and actually distribute their films all around the world, only to go and get this much money. But I think the big thing here, like the big reason why Niza 2 was able to get to number 1, is the way that it's able to go and attract Chinese audiences. And this honestly is a massive clue, especially for Hollywood in general, because for the longest time they wanted to go and try to find a way to appease Chinese audiences. Like, yes, North American audiences and other audiences, especially from first world countries like in the UK and Europe and Australia and all that kind of stuff. Like, they want it, like, the thing is with movies in general, the big challenge is often to find a way to try to make movies that are attractive to people from all around the world, regardless of what culture that they were raised in or which country they're from and all that kind of stuff. to find a way to make their films globally appealing. That is a bit of a challenge. And when it comes to China, however, Hollywood knows that there is a gold mine. And from time and time again, they would try to make movies that would be massively appealing to China. In fact, China is actually a major reason as to why certain franchises would just keep on going. Franchises like Transformers or the Fast and the Furious or even the Despicable Me films, China is actually a significant factor as to why they would keep on making movies again and again and again, because a big part of their box office earnings actually does come from that country. And this is not even to mention the times when there are certain movies that would be full-on pandering to China, that studios really want to have a piece of that Chinese money, and that they would go and collaborate with Chinese studios in order to make Chinese-themed animated features. And we have seen plenty of examples. DreamWorks has made a few, especially with Abominable or with the Kung Fu Panda films, technically. I don't know if it initially started off as a movie that they want to make for China specifically, but I know that the country loves Kung Fu Panda. And even the third film, actually had a Chinese studio to go and help them out to go and make the film, and as well with Abominable. But then there are other examples as well, like Sony Animation tried to do that once with Wish Dragon, and there was also Netflix that actually has a few examples, such as Over the Moon or The Monkey King, and this is just animated examples. This doesn't even count some of the others as well. But my point is, Niza 2 was able to go and actually find a way to be appealing to Chinese audiences and suddenly get this gold mine to go and quickly rush in, where just in China alone, they were able to give them the amount of money needed to go and surpass what Inside Out 2 has done. And I'm sure, honestly, that's the one major thing that I really am curious about. I'm wondering if Hollywood is keeping an eye on what Niza 2 is doing, and that they want to try to figure out how they could go and make that amount of money, in order to get Chinese audiences to go and watch their movies as well. Because I'll even say that with Inside Out 2, I actually double checked, and in China, they don't really seem to care all that much about that movie in particular. In fact, if I remember, I saw that the box office number that Inside Out 2 has made in China is literally just $42 million. That's it. But with Niza 2, on the other hand, well, people have no issue to go and flock into theaters to go and check that out. And chances are, maybe to go and check that out time and time again. Because maybe in China, there are those Niza super fans that want to repeat their viewings to go and check that out. And on a side note, by the way, I just want to go and mention that I probably should have mentioned this right at the beginning, but I personally have not seen anything from Niza as of yet. I haven't seen the first Niza movie, and I haven't seen Niza 2. But I will say that with what's been going on, I'm not going to lie, it does have me interested. It does have me curious to know what's going on with those movies. And believe it or not, I've actually heard a lot of pretty positive things actually said about the Niza films. Even Niza 2, some people, even people who are not from China, when they would go and watch that film, they're actually very much impressed by it. But the big question remains, however, now that Niza 2 did manage to go and surpass Inside Out 2 as the highest grossing animated feature of all time, will it be able to be the first animated feature in history to make over $2 billion at the box office? And my answer to that is, oh, absolutely. It is going to happen no matter what. And a big reason as to why is because Niza 2 was released on January 29th. It has not, as I am recording this, it has not even been a month since Niza 2 was out in theaters. To put that in perspective, it was released around the same time as DreamWorks' Dog Man. And yet you look at what Niza 2 is doing right now. It is doing phenomenally for itself, and it is still going crazy strong. In fact, another proof is that if you do look at the box office right over here, like it hasn't even been a week since I am recording, as I'm recording this, that it was able to go and beat out Inside Out 2's record. And since then, it actually managed to go and add, it managed to add nearly $200 million to its box office total. Like, it is able to go, like, beat it out and then suddenly get so much more. Which is why I personally believe that we're going to see, like, maybe in the next couple of months, that this movie is still going to be very strong at the box office. And that I think, like, in the next few days even, or maybe, like, by next week, at the most by next week, it will make over $2 billion at the box office. It will be the first ever animated feature in history to do so. But with that said, of course, it won't stop there. And some people might be wondering at this point, is it going to go and become the biggest movie of all time? Is it going to be the highest grossing film in history where it could go and beat out the first Avatar and Avengers Endgame and stuff like that? That, however, honestly, I don't know, because now if we would go and actually if we would go and actually let me go and see here. I don't know if we could just go and like jump onto a list of like the highest grossing movies ever. In fact, here, let me actually okay, I think we actually do have a list here. So yeah, this is the list of the highest grossing films ever. So do we actually have a list here, or okay, no, as of 2023. Okay, so no highest grossing films by year. No, that's not what I want. No, can we just have like an actual, there we go, highest grossing films. I just want highest grossing films, period. Can we actually have that? Or at least, well, at the very least, we do know that right now, Niza 2 has become the highest grossing non-English movie of all time. So we do have that. Oh, wow. It managed to beat it by like a lot, because the last one was apparently the Battle of Lake Chengjin. And now that's the new one. So there is that, but that's not what I'm looking for though. Do we have just like the highest grossing films? Just that, like, I don't know. Do we have just a list of the highest? Okay, there we go. Here it is. Okay, finally. So as you can see here, oh wow, actually there is a quick update. Apparently now the number has changed to $1.9 billion. Okay, so now, that is the new official list here. And okay, so chances are, yeah, I think it is safe to say, like it is definitely going to beat out like some of the other ones. Like it'll beat out No Way Home. It will beat out Infinity War. It will beat out The Force Awakens. Maybe it'll beat out Titanic and The Way of Water. But beating out Endgame and Avatar, that's going to be a bit of a challenge. That is going to be something where I'm just going to say, I feel like I am not sure. But at the most, however, I do believe that at some point, it will most likely go and actually make it to the top 5. That's honestly my prediction with what we are seeing right now with Niza 2. But either way, though, I think overall, this is still worth keeping an eye out for. I think this is still worth checking out to see how far Niza 2 is going to go with this, because, yeah, it's honestly wild to see this actually happening, to see this kind of history not only happening so soon, but do so in such an unconventional manner that breaks all the norms of what we know of how the Hollywood system works. We're now with Niza 2, with the power of China alone, it is able to go out and beat all the records, and now it is going to remain as the highest grossing animated film ever. And I think now I can actually say it's going to be a title that it's going to hold on to for quite some time. In fact, I'll even say that like, maybe this is just from the high because, like, it's, you know, it's happening as we speak, but it's going to be hard to imagine if there will ever be an animated feature that can actually surpass the achievements of what Niza 2 is currently doing right now. Like, I don't know what could be able to go and actually do that. Like, I know I've said before that maybe there are some that could go and beat out Inside Out 2's records, but Niza 2's records, on the other hand, yeah, that's going to be another level altogether. It's going to be something that would not only be highly beloved all around the world, but would also be highly beloved in China as well. So that's going to be a serious challenge. Maybe not impossible, but I think it is safe to say for now, we're going to wait until we're going to wait for quite some time until we see another movie that could challenge the records of Niza 2. But still, though, just absolutely insane to see this unfurl. And honestly, it does have me curious to go and check out what Niza 2 is all about. All right, so now with that said and done, I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about Niza 2's major records that it broke, along with being the new highest grossing animated feature of all time? And also, if you have seen Niza 2, I would love to know your opinion on this. So let me know what you think. All right, let's see now. In order to check out Niza 2, I had seen the first film and it was not that bad. So I saw the sequel last week, and I would say it's not only better than the first, but it definitely hits hard in everything. The film has done right, like the animation, the action sequences, and the characters. My minor problem with it is the toilet humor. As a highest grossing animated film of all time, I would say so, but I do think Inside Out, Frozen, and Niza are completely different, that are well earned for, and the comment unfortunately stopped right there. All right, let's see what we got here. If you're like me, then you're my clone, and you've escaped, and you can't make it out there on your own. Come on, JF number 2, come home. And also, you didn't expect this film to come in with a steel chair. To say Niza 2's success is monumental would be an understatement, and it proves that Hollywood isn't the only powerhouse in animation. So yeah, if my theater ever shows it, I'm gonna need to give Niza 2 a watch. Go get that bag, Niza. You earned it. Okay, absolutely. And the thing is that right now, and I'll say this as I am recording this, there are some places like in North America and in Europe and the UK and stuff like that. Like, there are places around the world where you can go and actually check out Niza 2. It's just that its theatrical release is a little bit limited, and you will have to go and actually try to find a theater that actually shows Niza 2, and there might be a chance that maybe the next theater showing Niza 2 could be far away from you, but if you do want to go and check out Niza 2 on your own, it is possible, and there are some theaters right now that are showing it. Let's see what else we have here. What other comments to go and read? I'll be honest, I've never heard of this movie until just recently, but this is shocking news. The fact that it managed to actually beat Inside Out 2, which held the title for only 6 months, is an achievement. On top of also being close to surpassing $2 billion and become one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Also, in terms of movies coming out this year, the only one I could imagine doing it as good as this is just the third Avatar movie at the end of the year. Oh yeah, I mean, like, I think so far the only movie that is coming soon that could ever match up to the numbers of what Niza 2 is making is going to be Avatar, what is it called? Fire and Ash? Yeah, that, like, it's going to be the third Avatar movie. And even at that, I feel like, honestly, I would question if it would go and make the Niza 2 numbers, or at least what it will ultimately go and make. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Fire and Ash is going to be making over $2 billion at the box office. But will it be able to go and beat out what Niza 2 will go and do? That, I think we're going to have to wait and see. All right, let's see. What other comments do we have here? To see a Donghua beat a Disney film, I am amazed. To be honest, I'm glad to see something outside of the US beat a Disney. I love Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks, but they've been a little repetitive recently. It's one of the reasons why I believe that Studio Ghibli is the greatest animation studio of all time. Their films are different, beautifully animated, and feel original. Also, AniMat, will you do a top 10 Studio Ghibli films to celebrate their 40th anniversary this year? To be honest, I'm going to be taking a break from talking about Japanese animated stuff, honestly, at least for now, mainly because, YouTube is not kind when it comes to showing Japanese animated stuff. And I mean, I'm only speaking this right now because of the fact of, well, as I mentioned at the beginning, my review of Pokemon the Movie 2000 got me a copyright strike from ShowPro. So in that regards, unfortunately, it is a great idea, but I don't think if I'd be down to go and do this because, well, it doesn't sound YouTube friendly, unfortunately. And again, the problem is not you, it's YouTube. All right, I'll read one more comment before I go into the next story because time is going to be running out. I'll be on it. Actually, you know what? No, I'll give this one a chance, actually. Never thought I'd live to see this day. When I heard that Niza 2 got the top spot, I was really surprised, but also really happy. The first film was really good, and I highly recommend giving it a watch. Maybe someday we could see you do a review of it in the future. Cross fingers, but regardless, congrats to the team, and let's see how Disney will top this, like maybe with Frozen 3 and 4? Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's another subject altogether to wonder, which Disney movie or which movie which animation studio could actually surpass Niza 2's numbers. And so far, it seems that the only contenders who could possibly get close are either Disney, Pixar, and Illumination. That's it. All right, so with that said, now it is time we're going to go on to our next break. And we're going to go back, when we do come back, we're going to go and discuss about one beloved animated franchise that has recently celebrated its 20th anniversary. And the way to go and celebrate that is by announcing a brand new chapter, and especially with a brand new avatar. All right, welcome back. Now, on our next story, we're going to go and talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yes, in the previous story, I already talked a little bit about James Cameron's Avatar, but let's go and move on to that other Avatar franchise, in which a few days ago, as I'm recording this, they actually just celebrated its 20th anniversary. Yes, it was about 20 years ago in which Nickelodeon aired the first ever episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it went on to go and become a massive phenomenon and one of the most beloved series from Nickelodeon. And with the 20th anniversary, there have been some things that they revealed that throughout 2025, there will be some major occasions, some live events, some celebrations that are going to be occurring during conventions, and also some other big announcements that will be coming soon. Maybe we will know a little bit more info in terms of the upcoming animated movie that will be coming out, or at least currently scheduled for 2026. Or maybe we'll also know some new information in regards to what's happening with the Netflix live action series as well. But then there's also the other announcement of the fact that the podcast, I believe it's called Braving the Elements, is going to be making a comeback in which they will be discussing about the episodes of Legend of Korra. But as great as all those things are, what I want to talk about here is the biggest announcement, the biggest reveal that is a part of Avatar: The Last Airbender's 20th anniversary. And that is the fact that we are going to have a brand new Avatar. Yes, there is another Avatar after Korra, which means there is going to be a new Avatar animated series. Yes, Nickelodeon During the announcement with all of the 20th anniversary stuff, they've also revealed there will be a brand new Avatar animated series, to which it is going to be called Avatar 7 Havens. Now, in terms of the series itself, what we know about it is just the little basics. We don't know much of like the major details that will be within there, but we do know some little things about it. And on a side note, unfortunately, one of the things that we don't know is in regards to the release date. We don't know when that's going to be coming out yet. But what we do know, however, is that there are going to be 2 books attached to it, or 2 seasons technically, that will have 13 episodes each. And that's just going to be the minimum. Like, so far, those 2 books are actually confirmed. And also, it has been confirmed that the creators, Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, are going to be coming back and be serving as executive producers. So they will go and actually take care of that. They will go and try to handle this entire series. But what is this one going to be about anyways? What do we know about this third Avatar? Now, of course, it is going to be set after the events of The Legend of Korra, but what else is there to go and explore? Well, to read you from my source on The Hollywood Reporter, it actually states here, Avatar 7 Havens is, according to the show's description, set in a world shattered by a devastating cataclysm. I don't know why that was hard to say. A young earthbender discovers she's the new Avatar after Korra. But in this dangerous era, that title marks her as humanity's destroyer, not its savior. Hunted by both human and spirit enemies, she and her long-lost twin must uncover their mysterious origins and save the 7 Havens before civilization's last stronghold collapse. And we even got a quote coming from the creators DiMartino and Konietzko, in which they stated, "When we created the original series, we never imagined we'd still be expanding the world decades later. This new incarnation of the Avatarverse is full of fantasy, mystery, and a whole new cast of amazing characters. Get ready to take another epic and emotional adventure." And not to mention, we might as well go and read this other comment here coming from Ramsey, the president of Paramount Animation and Nickelodeon, Ramsey Nato, as it states, "For 2 decades, the richly crafted world of Avatar: The Last Airbender has introduced audiences to a world of compelling characters and groundbreaking storylines, captivating fans globally. We can't wait to embark on the next chapter of this epic saga with a new story set within the Avatarverse, envisioned by the original creators, Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko." So that's the big thing that we know, or at least what we currently know about this new series. And there will be some extra information that will be coming out soon, but chances are, I'm just going to make a little prediction right now. I got a feeling that maybe we will know more info at San Diego Comic-Con, especially with the fact that even in this article, they mentioned that they are planning on doing some major events related to the 20th anniversary. I just want to see. Well, I mean, generally, they stated that there's going to be some new YouTube stuff, in-person experiences, and books. But I believe they've also mentioned somewhere. Yeah, okay, well. Right over here, actually. There we go. Okay, so, well, might as well, while we're here, we might as well go and read you what plans that Nickelodeon has in store for Avatar's 20th anniversary. As it states here, along with the new series, a Last Airbender feature film focusing on the original series' main characters, Aang, is set for release in January of 2026. To mark the show's 20th anniversary, Nickelodeon will debut 2 new YouTube series on the Avatar: The Last Airbender channel, add original content to the recently launched Avatar Legends on YouTube, YouTube channel, and is planning a celebration for Comic-Con in San Diego later this year. Avatar: The Last Airbender in concert, featuring a live orchestra performing the show's score, is touring mostly outside North America through May. So that's the big thing. I feel like if we are going to know more about Seven Havens, it's going to be in that celebration at Comic-Con in San Diego. I feel like that's going to be the major part right over there. Now, what's funny is that I remember when that was announced, me and my friends had a major discussion about that, because that's one of the big things that we really connect with. And especially with my friends, they are huge fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So we really went and dissected a lot on what we know so far about Avatar: Seven Havens. And one thing that is very interesting with the direction that they are taking here is the fact that now we are going to see an Avatar that's going to be very hated. And when I say hated, I don't mean the kind that the internet would go and whine and complain and make rants on YouTube and social media and stuff like that. I don't mean that kind of comic book guy style complaints. I mean specifically that this Avatar is going to be hated and will be seen as the great evil of this world that will go and destroy it. In a way, like, I just realized this now, but it's very much as if Mirabelle from Encanto is the Avatar. You know, that she would end up having that same fate, would be seen in the same way that she would be seen as the destroyer than actually the one person who would actually go and really help this entire situation. But on top of that, with the whole thing that with the avatars being hated, and that we'll have to see like what more is going on. What I have seen, not just with my friends, but also with the entire internet, is wonder what the fridge is going on with this world. Because obviously this is going to be set in the future. Like they did mention, this will be after Avatar Korra. And they mentioned that apparently with what's been going on with the world, it even says in the description that it is a world that is shattered by devastating cataclysm. Like what? Like that's the big question that a lot of people are now asking. What the fridge happened? And from there's been a lot of speculation, and I'll even say a lot of antagonizing towards Korra. Now, it is not necessarily in regards to the show itself. I mean specifically, how did Korra do as the Avatar? Like, especially, like, did she, like, a lot of people are wondering if the world is left, like, just shattered and is now considered this devastating cataclysm. Did Korra actually, did Korra actually do her job well as the Avatar? Or did she really mess things up badly? You know, like, she effed the world as much as she effed Asami at that point. No, but for real, though, because of this, a lot of people are now speculating that maybe Korra was not a great Avatar, and that with her actions, especially at the end of the Legend of Korra series, it might have left the world completely ruptured. It left the world more damaged than actually helped out. Like, yeah, maybe she did save the world, but not necessarily left the world in a great position in the first place. So a lot of people are, that's why a lot of people are mad at Korra right now, thinking that maybe she screwed up as the Avatar. But again, this is nothing more but speculation. There's no confirmation about what actually did happen within the world. But the big thing a lot of people are wondering is just what were the events that occurred between, like after the Legend of Korra and before Seven Havens? Like, what is it that left the world in such a devastating state, and especially in a state in which people now hate the Avatar and see them as the enemy who's going to go and destroy the world? Like, what the fridge happened at that point? That's going to be the real interesting hook right over there, to see that mystery go and unfurl. And again, we don't necessarily have all the answers to the questions, but maybe at some point we'll go and check how things are gonna be soon. And especially, it's worth noting that the timing actually does seem pretty perfect, especially with the fact that the creators, DiMartino and Konietzko, they're going to be coming back into the world of Avatar, like now fully investing themselves into that franchise once again. And the reason why the timing actually feels perfect on that is mainly because their other series, The Dragon Prince, is actually going to be ending pretty soon. That show, I believe right now, actually, let me go and quickly look this up just to go and make sure I actually get this right. But I believe if it's not finished already, it's actually going to be finishing very soon. Like, it's been going on for quite some time. And I believe right now, yes, the 7th season is actually... Oh, no, it actually just finished, actually. Considering that it was just a couple of months ago that they did put out the 7th season. And it's... the series is pretty much done. You know, like, and I don't mean like it's canceled. Here, actually, I could go and show you just to present what I've looked up. But yeah, it even says here that book 7, titled Dark, it actually just finished on it actually just released on Netflix on December 19th of 2024. In that regards, considering that now their duties with the Dragon Prince is now finished, they can go and set their focus back onto Avatar and focus on this brand new series. So, you know, funny enough, it actually did all work out in that sense. But I would say overall, though, as an Avatar fan myself, yes, I am absolutely interested to see what is in store with this series. And honestly, I am curious to check out what they are going to do with Seven Havens, especially to go and answer some major questions in regards to what happened after the Legend of Korra. And should Korra be to blame for leaving the world that is now shattered by a devastating cataclysm? Like that's also another big question. It's like, what is this cataclysm and what even caused it in the first place? And is it Korra's fault? And not to mention, what is it that made people turn against the Avatar? So hopefully we will have those, we'll have those questions answered, and maybe we'll have them answered at this year's San Diego Comic-Con. But ultimately, let's just wait and see with how things go. But hey, more Avatar, the fact that we are getting more Avatar on top of what we're already getting so far with the Netflix series and especially the upcoming animated feature, it definitely is exciting. And with that said, now I would like to pass this on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about Avatar 7 Havens? What do you think about the announcement? And especially if you are a Last Airbender fan, I would love to know what you all think about this. All right, so what is going to be said here? As someone who is a huge Avatar The Last Airbender fan, this news got me hyped. I really like the idea of having it take place in a more devastated world and a more hated Avatar, and I'm really curious to see what new lands they'll introduce, so I'm hyped. Also, I'm glad Avatar The Last Airbender is becoming relevant again, mostly thanks to the live-action series. Say what you will about it, but it did bring the interest. It did bring interest in the franchise back. Yeah, you know what? I will say that you do bring up a good point. Like, I know that the reception of the Netflix series has been very mixed. There are some people who enjoyed it, some people who loved it, and some people who hate it. The reactions are everywhere. But still, though, it is a big success, and it did make Avatar The Last Airbender popular again. It showed the people at Paramount that, yes, there is still a market for this franchise. It is still viable, it is still strong, and people still want to see more of it. So honestly, it makes me glad to see, there is a blessing for the franchise that series in particular actually did work out. And not to mention that they're also going to be remaking the second and third book as well. And from there, it allows the franchise to also continue to bloom with the other animated stuff, such as the upcoming movie in early 2026, along with Seven Havens now. So there is there is a blessing to all this. All right, so let's see now. I wanted to be excited for this new series. I really did, because the premise sounds awesome. But with the way it sounds like they pandered to the chuds and incels and screwed over my girl Cora just made me lose all interest in this series. I hope I'm wrong, and they're going to they're going to go and put out a new press release to clear all this up. But as is, I just have no desire to watch it. First Kyoshi and now Cora. Do all female avatars become villainized? Okay, again, I just want to go and clarify that we don't know if this is Cora's fault. I mean, there's just simple connections that people are making that, the fact that it happened after the Legend of Korra and that the world is left by this devastating cataclysm. Like, some people are just speculating that maybe it's Korra's fault, but that doesn't mean that this is the true answer. This is nothing more but speculations and predictions and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that Korra is the one who is wrong. So we're definitely going to be getting some answers in the next few months. But for now, we just need to say that nothing is confirmed. All right, so let's see here. No, my Shyla is gonna die. But in all seriousness, it's kind of sad to see Korra go. I'm curious as to how this could go. Kind of gives Last of Us Fallout vibes with the atmosphere. Also, it really makes me wonder what the fridge happened. But then I remember something. It'll be about 100 years until Sojin's comet return. Maybe that's the cataclysmic event that destroyed the world. Take that as you will. Also, leave my queen alone. She did nothing wrong. I see. Honestly, it's very interesting because with all these discussions about Seven Havens and what caused the cataclysm, like it did, suddenly the Korra stands are now standing up. They need to go and defend Korra right now. It's funny. And I mean, I do get it. But, you do bring up a very good point. And this could also be a really good theory that could also confirm, that could also be as viable as Korra. If it's not Korra who caused it, maybe it is Sozin's comet. Maybe that thing suddenly made a comeback, and that's the thing that actually caused the cataclysm. So maybe it's not Korra, maybe it's a comet. So that could be a strong possibility. Let's see what else we got here now. Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to it when I heard the news about the new Avatar series. The idea of the hated Avatar character absolutely got my attention, and I could see great drama in this show. I love talking to the cast and crew that worked on the original series, aka The Last Airbender. They are great people that worked on this gem. I would say The Legend of Korra doesn't deserve the hate she deserves, but I just don't know what she has done to make everyone hate the Avatar. Yeah, I mean, I will say that with The Legend of Korra, I do agree it is a bit weaker than The Last Airbender, but then again, that's not really a fair comparison, considering that The Last Airbender is a full-on masterpiece, but I do think that The Legend of Korra does stand pretty well on its own, even with its flaws. And I mean, the characters are also great as well. Like, there's a lot of fun ones that can debatably be on par with the ones from The Last Airbender. So I just want to go and state that right now. Let's see what other comments would there be. All right. Oh, yes. Young me, this is awesome. Current me, this is awesome. I was a fan of Avatar and even saw Korra as a kid. And the series where the new one is a wanted fugitive is on the run. And hey, this could be awesome. At least it's better than the live action 2010 film. Yes. For those of you questioning if this Seven Havens is going to be good, you just got to remember that we got to believe in the beliefs that we all believe, or whatever the fridge that line is. Oh boy, what a mess Shyamalan has made with that thing. All right, I think I'm going to read. I think I'll read one more comment, and we'll go from there. We'll go into one more break. Oh, this sounds very anticipating. I mean, who hasn't loved the series, old, new, or indifferent? I feel like every time they make something based around it, it's always exciting, especially Korra as well. It was like The Force Awakens before then. Although, what I do hope about this series is that it's mainly focused on the new main lead and not raise more questions like in Korra. I mean, for me, I still question what happened to Sokka. Then again, maybe it's better off to not know and show. It's better off not to know, show past stuff, you know? Well, I mean, if you want to know, like, I know that there are other ways that you could go and find out what happened to the fate of some of the characters. Like, I know that there are some, like, books, and I mean, like, not seasons, but I mean literal books, that go and highlight some of the fate of the other characters as well. And I mean, I do recall, or especially, there are the comics that will go and answer a lot of questions about what happened to the characters after The Last Airbender. Like, I remember there was one, like, my friend told me about this and showed me some pages in regards to, there's one with, what was it? With yes, it was with Zuko and Azula, where they both got together and decided to go and find their mom. You know, there was that plot line right there, and it was interesting. And like, they even went to go and really, like, it was meant to go and fully ask the question, what happened to their mother? So yeah, honestly, it's a fun little discussion that I wanted to go and bring up, especially with the fact that we are getting new Avatar. So I just want to say happy 20th anniversary to The Last Airbender, and keep your eye out for the remainder of this year that we're going to get some new announcements related to Avatar. Especially, let's wait and see with what's going to be happening with Seven Havens, and we'll find out if it really is Korra's fault in terms of the cataclysm that happened. All right, so now with that said, we got one more story that we're going to look into. And when we come back from this break, we will be getting into some controversy. Oh, yes. We're going to go and discuss about a certain voice actor who's gotten into trouble and has made a lot of fans upset. And the worst part about it is that these aren't just any fans, these are Sonic fans. And now, everyone, it is time that we go and cap this episode off with the grand finale. And for this grand finale, we got a little bit of controversy to go and cover. Now, technically, this is considered to be older drama, considering that it's been a little over a week since this did initially happen. But the reason why I want to go into this, I feel like this is an interesting discussion because it brings up a topic that I feel like we should look into, and that I think, like, for this franchise in particular, should be talked about a little bit more, especially nowadays when fans are still discussing about it and are still demanding for this to go and happen. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the controversy with Mike Pollock. Now, before I go into the story itself, for those of you who don't know, Mike Pollock is known as a prolific voice actor who's been working in the field for decades now. In fact, you probably know his voice for his in terms of you probably know him for the work that he has done in 4Kids. But his most well-known role that he has done for over 20 years is being the voice of Dr. Robotnik, aka Dr. Eggman, a role in which he has done almost exclusively during that entire time, where he has done the voice for a bunch of animated shows, along with a whole lot of games. Like, generally, there have been some characters that they would switch around the voices, but when it comes to Dr. Robotnik, for the most part, Sega has been sticking with Mike Pollock for quite some time. However, recently, Mike Pollock has pulled a move that really made fans upset. Now, I'll get into more of this a little later, but when it comes to Mike Pollock, fans were already mad at him, but now a lot more so than ever. And it's mainly because of one certain interaction that he had on Twitter. there was this user by the name of Do Enjoyer. He actually got harassment from some people on Twitter because, well, I mean, as you guys know, Twitter is Twitter, so that's unfortunately bound to happen with the toxicity that it has pretty much become now. But they had a solution. Do Enjoyer actually had an idea on how to make the harassment stop. And that is to go and contact Mike Pollock directly to go and ask that, hey, I think this guy is one of your fans. Can you please tell him to stop? And from there, because the initial post that Do Enjoyer has made is actually a criticism to Mike Pollock. So they believe that, the person harassing them in the DMs is actually a Mike Pollock fan. So hopefully, maybe Mike Pollock would go and tell the fans to, hey, let's not go and bully and harass people for whatever opinions that they may have. The response that Mike Pollock has made, however, it didn't really work out. Actually, maybe you cannot see this because my screen is kind of blocking it. But he says, and I'm reading from his posts on Twitter, hey, weirdo fans, don't call Juno slurs in DMs. Do it publicly, I guess. So yeah, basically, when Juno, by the way, that's the name that they put up instead of their handle, Do Enjoyer. So yeah, when Do Enjoyer wanted to ask help from Mike Pollock decided, here, just make things so much worse. Publicly go and harass them instead of privately doing so. Now, since then, Mike Pollock did delete the reply because he did get called out hard on that. But since then, fans have been massively upset with him. And like I said before, fans were already mad at him due to some previous opinions, to put it lightly, that he has expressed. And a prominent example is what he has said in relation to the war in Gaza, or at least the war that is happening between Israel and Palestine. And and I don't know specifically what he has stated, but he is very much on the side of Israel. So yeah, unfortunately, he is a Netanyahu simp. And I think that's how you say Israel's leader's name properly. I don't know, I could be wrong. But either way, he is a simp for Israel's leader and doesn't really care about the genocide that is happening towards Palestinians. And already from there, a lot of people have called out Mike Pollock as a Zionist and have demanded that he should be recast as the voice of Eggman. In fact, the original post that Do Enjoyer was actually about the fact that Mike Pollock is allegedly a Zionist, where they stated, I'm low-key excited for when we get a new Eggman recast. The current voice is such a Zionist a-hole, and it sucks so much. Who do you guys think could best replace him? And it's because of that post, by the way, that there are some toxic Sonic fans who went and harassed Do Enjoyer. So that's pretty much the big thing that is currently going on. It's the fact that because of some bad interactions that Mike Pollock has with fans, especially with Do Enjoyer, and with his what he has said in regards to the Palestine-Israel war and siding with Israel by being ignorant about the Palestinian genocide, at that point, fans are now demanding for a new voice for Dr. Eggman. And I just want to go and state that, yeah, I think it is safe to say that Mike Pollock has pulled an absolute yikes right over here. But then again, I would also say that I'm not really that surprised, considering that with Mike Pollock, he's the kind of guy that, honestly, he would be one of those that some people could say is terminally online. Like, he is very much on social media, like very active and always interacting with people, especially with fans. And it does happen from time to time that not all the experiences that people had with Mike Pollock online are great. I'm sure there are some that, Mike Pollock has made people's day, and some fans would go and say oh my God, my Dr. Eggman is actually happy with my post, and and all that kind of stuff. But there have been some interactions, some people who would have stories about bad kinds of interactions with Mike Pollock on social media, rather it be on Twitter or on YouTube or whatever. That can legitimately happen. And the thing is with Mike Pollock, and especially with the fact that when you are terminally online, it makes it highly likely that stuff like this are going to happen, and fans will certainly go and take note, especially when you do have a prominent position of being the official voice of a highly beloved character in a major franchise like Sonic the Hedgehog. And again, you got to keep in mind that in the case of Dr. Eggman, he has so far been the only one who's been doing the voice for many animated and video game projects. There have been very few, if ever, I think it's almost exclusively Mike Pollock who's been doing the voice of Dr. Robotnik after all these years. The only prominent example that I could think of a time that Eggman was not played by Mike Pollock was Jim Carrey with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And in terms of that, in terms of the big question, if Mike Pollock should be recast, because I get it, and I completely understand why people want to go and have, him be recasted. Honestly, I get it, especially with many of the hot takes that he would go and put out. And again, hot takes is really putting it lightly, by being pro-Israel and stuff like that. And especially with some bad interactions, I do completely get why people are demanding for him to go and be recast. I completely get that. But then again, I would also make a counter argument that technically it's not the worst thing ever. And there are ways that he can go and actually reshape his image, to go and do some kind of PR control, make sure that he could go and move forward in a better way where people will move on from the outrage and stuff like that, and he'll stay fine in his position. That can also happen. But I also want to go and express my opinion that I feel with or without the controversy, regardless of how Mike Pollock is, in my opinion, I do feel maybe it can be time to get a new voice for Dr. Robotnik. And I say this because I think about all the other voice actors who would play the Sonic characters over the years. And recently, we have seen some who would be played by new actors. I mean, there are some that have maintained their roles for many years, like Roger Craig Smith playing as Sonic for a long time, or with Colleen O'Shaughnessy, I think that's how you say her name. Again, I do apologize if I mispronounced it, but she has been playing Tails for about over a decade now, even playing the role in the Sonic movies, even getting that honor to go and do so. So, from time to time, we have seen actors often swap out to be the voices. Shaughnessy. Okay, Colleen O'Shaughnessy. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, all right. So at least we managed to get that name right. But yeah, over the years, we have seen these characters change voices. And even with Sonic the Hedgehog, it's not always the same voice. Even the new Netflix series that came out recently, it was actually a new person playing the voice of Sonic, which, may I say, he did so amazingly well. And I feel honestly, I think it might be time that, there is one correction. Apparently there is a new person who is playing Dr. Eggman in that. Sorry, I don't know why I'm stumbling in my words. But yes, apparently Sonic Prime does have a new Eggman, which is Brian Drummond. Yeah, so that is good. But yeah, that my point is, though, is that Yeah, I think like we should have more new voices for the different characters, especially for Dr. Eggman. Like, in a way, it is kind of like long overdue, where it does feel like Mike Pollock is like gatekeeping his role as Dr. Eggman, and that maybe like for the games and even for like some of the other shows, like it's already a step up that we do have Brian Drummond, but we do need more new versions of Dr. Eggman, and especially when nowadays we do live in a new age of Sonic entertainment because of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, because of the movie trilogy. And the reason for that is because with the new Sonic, with the Sonic movies, Jim Carrey was a major game changer in terms of his portrayal as Dr. Robotnik. He didn't go into the direction that stays true to how we know the character, like in the games or in the show. And he certainly did not go and try to pay homage to the way that Mike Pollock would go and portray Dr. Eggman. He just went and mostly did his own thing. This is like the closest that we have of him reprising his role as the Grinch with how he plays Dr. Robotnik. But his portrayal is phenomenal. They have always been the highlights of the entire trilogy, and especially the third one. He really took it to the next level with his double role as Robotnik and his grandfather, and being his own comedic duo. But the acting that he did in that is just pure genius. He did very well on that. I highly praise him for what he has done in that. But the point is, with his portrayal, it is highly memorable and it is highly beloved. And I can guarantee you there is going to be a generation who will grow up remembering the Jim Carrey version of Robotnik more so than the Mike Pollock Robotnik. Like, you'll see in 10 to 15 years time, the next generation, when they look back at Dr. Robotnik, they're most likely gonna think of the Jim Carrey version. And as harsh as it is to say, but I do believe that in the few years that Jim Carrey has played Dr. Robotnik in the trilogy, he'd made much more of an impact on Robotnik as a character, more so than Mike Pollock has in the over 20 years that he has played the character. So yeah, I think like even in that regard, regardless of the controversies or not, I feel like Sega should take a new direction with the Robotnik character, instead of always having the same, instead of having always this right here with the Mike Pollock version. I feel like, honestly, we should have a new update, like a new, have a bit of a reboot of the Robotnik character, maybe one that can be similar to what we got with the Jim Carrey version for the next Sonic games, or the next Sonic series and stuff like that. I think, I feel like it's time that we should see some change. If we're seeing change with the games and with the shows and stuff like that, if Sonic Prime has proven that it's okay to have new voices for characters like Sonic and Eggman, then that should be a little bit more of a common thing, and have new actors and have more actors have the opportunity to play an iconic character like Eggman. But still, though, going back into Mike Pollock and his controversy, honestly, I feel like he's kind of speeding up his process of leaving his role as Eggman. I'm not saying he deliberately wants to, but to make that decision actually go and happen, I feel like he's indirectly trying to speed up that process. And the more that he's going to the more that he would pull off these kinds of things, the more that it feels like it makes it more likely. And especially with Sonic fans, with how devoted they are to the franchise, that's a fan base that I just want to say you do not want to go and piss off. I'll even say that I was a bit scared with my Sonic 3 review. The fact that I didn't say that it's like a 5-star masterpiece and stuff like that, I was worried if I was going to get backlash from the Sonic fans for not calling it a masterpiece. Thankfully, it didn't happen, but still, though, the point is that, yeah, when you make Sonic fans upset, you're going to regret it. And I just want to go and take a moment at this point to go and I want to speak to Mike Pollock directly here, because chances are he might be watching or listening to this. So I just want to go and say to Mike, now, dude, I just want to go and say this, that I'm not saying that you should be canceled. Never once did I say that you should be canceled for whatever takes you've done or for that stupid thing that you did on Twitter. I mean, the fact alone on Twitter, well, I'll get to that later, but even that is a little bit iffy. But the thing is, man, if you want to go and help save yourself, to go and rebuild your image, to move on from the controversy, I think you need to lay low on the social media, man. I think you need to get off of that thing. And I'm not saying to go and deactivate your account. I mean that the way you use it to go and interact with people, the way that you use it commonly to go and express your opinions and stuff like that, you seriously got to consider to go and lay low, and you got to probably get off of that. If anything, maybe use your social media accounts just for professional reasons. You know, just use it to go and promote your work, and that's it. Like, just go and do that. Because the more you go and actually interact with people, especially on freaking Twitter, I mean, the fact alone that you have a Twitter account, that's already a red flag for many people. But the more that you're going to be interacting with people, especially on Twitter, the more likely stuff like that is going to occur, and the more that your image is going to be damaged. So at this point, I highly recommend that, honestly, you got to stop caring what other people will think. You got to stop, you got to stop going around and say these hot controversial takes, and just like focus on your life. Focus on your life outside of the internet. Just focus on your voice acting career. Just lay low on that, and that's it. Because even with dumb controversies like that, and even I completely disagree with what you would say, rather it be in regards to like with Israel, or with how, you know, with the way you interact with fans. Honestly, like, just move on, like, just step back from using social media, and people will most likely forget about it. And I'll even say this: if you're spending the time to listen to what I have to say here on this podcast, like, if you're legitimately hearing what I have to say to you now, that is honestly proving my point. That is a clear indicator that you need to get off of social media. That you need to get out, that you need to close the internet, just step back from your phone or your computer, and just go and live your life. Like, as harsh as this may sound, but honestly, get off of social media and go touch grass, because that is currently the best thing you can do for your reputation right now. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the Mike Pollock controversy? And also, especially if you're a Sonic fan, do you think Mike Pollock should be recast as the official voice of Eggman? Let me know what you all think about this. All right, so this is definitely unfortunate. While I definitely think Mike Pollock did give a solid performance as Eggman over the years, I think they definitely should get a new voice actor, especially with all the controversies surrounding him. And honestly, if they can recast the other characters in the games, then there's no excuse why they can't recast Eggman. Not to mention how Jim Carrey breathes new life into the character in the movies. I think they need to give Eggman a fresh start. Exactly. This is the type of behavior that this is the type of behavior the amazing folks in the animation industry like Disney Animation avoided when it comes to fan interaction and making sure that they are as respectful as they can. What Mike Pollock is doing is making animation people and voice actors looking bad. I think it's time for him to retire or just stop encouraging bad behavior online. This is just embarrassing. Want to support good voice actors in the industry? Please be like Christina V. She's nice and far more beautiful. Sorry. Well, there is also another voice actor you could go and support. There's me. I'm a voice actor. I need some support, especially like, to go and show like I am an actor. I also do voice acting. I mean, yeah, sure. Like, I'll have my moments when I'm unhinged, especially with this podcast. But I mean, I'm an actor. you can support me as well, more so than Mike Pollock. Honestly, no joke, I have honestly thought about like, ooh, like if Mike Pollock would be out as the voice, like I wonder if I could also be like if I could have a chance to be the voice of Dr. Robotnik. That would honestly be awesome. Anyways, I'll be honest, even with Mike being Mike, it's high time for him to hang up his mustache and retire as Eggman. Like you said, a lot of people know Carrie as Eggman, so maybe they could hire someone who could replicate that energy, or at least take some inspiration from it. Heck, I'd say go back to classic Eggman from the classic games, wacky and goofy, but can be serious at times. Also, he's a dad after Sonic Frontiers with Sage, so there's that too. Or honestly, I feel like, you know what? I say screw all that. If we're gonna go back to like an older Eggman, let's go with the one from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's bring back the Pingus Eggman. Oh my god, it's goofy as hell, but hey, it's like a different brand of goofiness as Jim Carrey, but like still on the level of it. And I mean, you know he's gonna say some absolute bangers of memorable lines. Oh my god. Why not? Honestly, like I know a lot of people would want to see like Jim Carrey Eggman show up in the video games and stuff like that, but I demand that we should have Pingus Eggman make a comeback. Or you know what? Why don't let's go completely insane. Let's get Alfred into this. Let's get Alfred to be the new official voice of Eggman. And like, he'll make his audition is just going to be that legendary announcement. How, like, the line of pissing on the moon is actually what gets him the official role of Eggman. Okay, anyways, oh boy, it's never pleasant finding out an actor whose work you admire is basically a bully. On one hand, this isn't enough to get me to stop looking forward to the next Sonic material. I actually got to participate in the Sonic Racing Crossroads beta, but yeah, it's a very noticeable stain. If Pollock does get replaced, may I suggest Arthur Romero, who voiced Dr. Eggman in Death Battle. Well, that is an interesting choice. Let's see, what other comments are there? Let's see now. Okay, I think I'll go with 2 more and then we can cap this off, actually. It sucks that Mike Pollock is the 4Kids actor who got the most work after the company was dissolved. Back in the day when I was watching shows like Viva Pinata and Chaotic, I had no idea he was such an a-hole. I'm just glad Sega is cutting ties with him. Well, I don't know if they have, so I just want to go and state that right now. And I'm looking forward to the new voice of Dr. Robotnik. Yes, I still call him Robotnik. Given the choice for a new Robotnik voice actor, I'd say Dana Snyder would be perfect. Oh my god, yo, that kind of voice. Oh, that is crazy, but I could see that work. I could see Dana actually doing pretty well in his own way. Like having that, like he would have that Master Shake style douchery, but like be like that stereotypical villain kind of way. I could see that work. I could see that actually function. Okay, anyways, let's see here. This is really sad, even for the Sonic fan base. I'm very well aware of Mike Pollock and his hot takes, and let's just say I've heard many bad things about him. With the recent controversy he's in right now, it's about time that we need more new voice actors to voice Eggman in future projects. If Jim Carrey and Brian Drummond can do great as Eggman, then others can do it too. Mike definitely snooping as usual, I see. All right, and you know what? I might as well go and do my little audition for Robotnik, and I'll do this with a conclusion. So that, my fellow people, is the conclusion of this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. I would like to thank you all for watching this episode, as well to go and remind you that, well, next week there will be a very special episode coming up, especially with the Oscars happening during the weekend. But if you would like to go and follow me on whatever whatever social media you're on to go and see if there will be more episodes of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, then all you have to do is subscribe to the AniMat Live Twitch channel and the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. At the same time, if you would like to go and listen to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast on whatever podcast service you might be listening to, then don't forget to go and follow me there. Rather it be on Amazon, Spotify, what else is there? Apple? Yeah, I'll go with Apple. Yeah, so whatever it is, go and follow me there. So thank you all so much for watching, and well, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go and get back to me because this is what I say. Well, see you later, dudes.